What I'm about to tell you will change the way you look at that innocent bowl of candy forever, and by the end you'll understand why some mysteries should stay unsolved. There's this abandoned house at the end of our street, the kind that makes your skin crawl. It's been empty for decades, with broken windows and a roof caving in. Every kid crosses the street to avoid it. There's something dark and silent about it. Nobody talks about it much, except when Halloween comes around. That's when things get strange, because every year a bowl of candy appears on the front porch. It's always the same, a plain black bowl filled with good candy like M&Ms and Reese's. Nobody has ever seen who puts it there. The candy just appears like magic. For the rest of the year, there are no signs of life, no lights, no movement. Absolutely nothing. Still, like clockwork, every October 31st, that bowl of candy is right there. There's this rumor passed down from older kids for generations. They say if you take candy from that bowl, you'll get good luck for the entire next year. Some believe it, others think it's harmless tradition, while some whisper it's cursed. I've always been somewhere in between. The house gave me this weird feeling whenever I passed it. One year everything changed, and I couldn't stop thinking about the mystery. Nobody really knows the truth about what happened, so I decided that was the year I'd finally investigate. Before we continue, I need your help to keep bringing you these spine-chilling stories. If you're enjoying this tale, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Your support gives this channel strength to keep investigating the unexplained. Also, check the link in the description for our exclusive giveaway where you could win amazing prizes. Now, let's get back to that terrifying Halloween night. After all the trick-or-treaters had cleared out, I stayed behind. The candy bowl was still there, waiting for someone brave enough to investigate. My friends had gone home, but something wouldn't let me leave. There's always been this strange pull toward that house I couldn't explain, like it was begging for someone to finally come inside and uncover its secrets. I told myself I'd just watch long enough to see if anyone came for the bowl, but the more I stood there hidden behind bushes, the more I felt this curiosity growing. The house was calling out to me, and that night I couldn't ignore the magnetic pull anymore. I'd been waiting for hours, hidden behind bushes across the street. The neighborhood had gone quiet. No more kids in costumes, no more porch lights. Just me, the cold October air, and that mysterious house staring back. I was about to leave when the front door creaked open slowly, but I didn't see anyone there. No wind to explain it, just the door swinging open like an invitation. My heart raced as I tried convincing myself it was old hinges giving way. But deep down, I knew the house wanted me to come in. Strange thoughts crept into my head, like I was being politely asked to step inside. I don't know what made me do it, but I grabbed my flashlight and crossed the street. I reached the porch, glanced at the candy bowl, took a deep breath, and stepped through the open door. The moment I crossed the threshold, the air changed completely. It became thick and heavy. My skin prickled like walking into static electricity. Just this overwhelming pressure, like the house was pressing down on me. I shone my flashlight around, but the beam felt weak, swallowed by darkness. The floor creaked beneath my feet, but not like normal old wood. Something was shifting underneath, adjusting to my weight. The walls seemed to shift and move, only settling when my light hit them directly. When I turned back, the door that had been open was now shut without a sound. The hallway seemed to stretch before me like space itself was bending. The further I went, the heavier everything felt, the air thick and suffocating. Each breath was harder. My legs felt like lead with every step. I felt like I was being drained of energy with each moment. My head was foggy. I checked my phone. It was almost 3 in the morning. I couldn't remember entering, but there was no way I'd been inside that long. I couldn't tell which direction I'd come from, like the walls were rearranging behind me. As I moved deeper, I started seeing things scattered around the rooms. Clothing, old shoes, pieces of paper, some scattered on floors, others in dark corners. At first I thought they were just debris from squatters, but looking closer, all the clothes belonged to children and young teenagers. Mixed in were discarded remnants of old Halloween costumes at various stages of decay. These belongings were from others who had wandered in like me, trying to solve the mystery of the candy bowl. Panic settled in my chest as a horrible thought flashed through my mind. If this happened to people who came inside and never made it out, what had happened to them? That's when the truth hit me. The candy wasn't just harmless Halloween tradition. It was bait, a mystery so alluring it was perfect for luring victims inside, drawing them deeper into the house until they could never escape. I turned back, desperate to leave, but when I reached where the entrance should be, it wasn't there. The door had vanished, replaced by another endless hallway. Panic set in as I tried hallway after hallway, but every path forced me deeper into the house. It was actively changing around me, blocking every escape route. I felt the floor shift beneath me. My foot sank into the floor like quicksand. The floor held tight, sticky and thick, actively pulling me down. The walls began to pulse, closing in as the house tightened its grip. I slammed my fists against walls, screaming for help, but no sound escaped. The house absorbed everything. Something was feeding off my energy and fear. The harder I tried to escape, the more it drained from me. As I tried to stay calm, I noticed shadows moving within the walls, faint human shapes flickering behind the wallpaper. They weren't ghosts. They were people trapped and absorbed, unable to leave. I used my arms to pull free and spotted a window nearby that filled me with hope. But as I crawled towards safety, the house latched onto me desperately. Tendrils made of the house wrapped around my legs and arms. Whispers in my mind grew louder, desperate and panicked. "Stay with us, don't leave. You belong here now." It sounded like pleas from trapped children, but something inside me refused to give in. I wasn't going to let this thing win. With my last burst of energy, I grabbed the window frame. The tendrils were lined with something adhesive and burning. Blood soaked through my clothes as I gave one last desperate yank. With a scream from my soul, I ripped free, crashing through the window. I fell a full story down onto the grass below, but I was finally outside. I was free from that nightmare house. I lay there gasping for breath, my chest on fire, and every inch of my body screaming in agony. I glanced down at my legs and saw they were bloody and raw. The skin blackened where the house had burned me. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, everything stopped completely. The whispers faded away. The house went still and silent, as if nothing had ever happened. The IR was calm again, but I could feel something inside me was different. Something had fundamentally changed about who I was. I just lay on the cold grass, gasping for breath like I'd just run a marathon. The oppressive weight that had been suffocating me inside the house was gone, but I wasn't truly free of it. My body was trembling uncontrollably, every muscle aching as if I'd been squeezed completely dry. I stared up at the stars, distant and cold, trying to convince myself it was finally over. Slowly, I turned my head to look back at the house that had nearly claimed my life. It stood there, as still and silent as it had always been. Just a rundown, abandoned structure that looked completely normal. Nothing about it seemed out of place from this distance. The windows were dark and lifeless. The front porch was as empty as ever, and the candy bowl still sat there untouched, like nothing had happened at all, like the whole experience had been some kind of nightmare. But I could feel it deep in my bones. This wasn't just an old building. It was on and waiting patiently for its next victim. The dark windows seemed to watch me like eyes following my every move, and even though I was outside and safe, I somehow knew I wasn't truly free. I tried to stand up, but my legs were wobbling beneath me like jelly. It felt like my body had been completely drained of all its strength and energy. Every movement was a monumental struggle, my muscles refusing to cooperate properly. My mind felt hazy and clouded, like a thick fog had settled over my thoughts permanently. I tried to piece together everything that had happened inside, but something felt missing from my memory. My recollections were fragmented, pieces scattered and broken like a shattered mirror. I could remember the feeling of the house tightening around me, the whispers clawing at my mind, but the details were blurred and slipping through my fingers like water. The harder I tried to recall them, the more they seemed to fade away completely. It was like part of me was still in there, trapped inside the walls just like all the people I'd seen. No matter how far I got from the house, I couldn't shake the feeling that it had taken something important from me, something essential that I would have to go back inside to get back someday. The house had left its permanent mark on me, and I knew this wasn't over. I made it home that night, but nothing felt the same as it had before my encounter. Every step I took away from that house felt like I was dragging something heavy and invisible with me. I tried telling people about my experience, my friends, my parents, anyone who would listen. I also reported what I could to the police about the dangerous house and the missing people, but they didn't believe me, not a single word of what I told them. Some laughed it off like it was some kind of elaborate prank or a drug-induced hallucination, a wild trip from some laced candy that had messed with my perception of reality. Nobody understood what I had felt and experienced in there that night. When I reported it officially, I didn't even try to explain how the house had felt alive, how it had taken something essential from me, because they wouldn't have believed any of it anyway. They sent in a unit to investigate and found the place completely desolate, just a typical abandoned house layout with nothing unusual or supernatural about it. Then they lectured me seriously on the dangers of trespassing in unstable structures. Weeks passed and things seemed like they went back to normal on the surface. But I couldn't shake the experience. The house, the pull, the whispers were still with me. I could feel their presence even as I tried to pretend everything was fine and back to normal. And the same bowl of candy was sitting there when Halloween came around the next year, right there on that porch, just like always, as if nothing had ever happened. Despite everything I'd been through, as I stood in front of the house watching locals delight in the free candy. Memories I'd forgotten suddenly flashed back through my mind with startling clarity. The pain sang from the scars on my legs, vividly replaying the events of that night. And yet, despite the absolutely horrendous experience I'd survived, I still felt that familiar pull. Something deep inside me stirred with longing and desire, even though I knew what the house really was, even though I knew it had nearly taken me forever. I couldn't help but look at it with a strange sense of attraction. A part of me still wanted to go back inside, as if the house hadn't finished what it started that night. I still live on that street today, and as I sit in my room late at night, I stare out the window. The house is clearly visible just beyond the street lights, waiting patiently in the darkness. It's quiet now, maintaining the same stillness that has always surrounded it. But as Halloween approaches each year, the pull becomes stronger than ever before. Sometimes when everything's dark and silent in the dead of night, I can still hear it clearly. Whispers faint and distant, but absolutely unmistakable, calling my name softly, telling me to come back and finish what we started together. I try to ignore the voices, try to tell myself it's just my mind playing tricks on me. But deep down in my heart, I know the truth about what's really happening. The house isn't finished with me yet, and it never will be. I glance out my window one last time, knowing that it's just a matter of time before I can't resist the pull anymore. One day soon it'll pull me back inside those walls, and next time I'm not sure I'll be able to escape.